30,000 in Comiskey Park at Chicago to see their rejuvenated Cardinals take on the Cleveland Browns. Soon after the opening 52 yards to the Chicago 10. On his second smack at the line, jarring Jimmy Brown. Plays later, Lamar McCann rams high the score. The exciting action continues after the next kickoff. Plum connects with Renfro again. The Brown back gallops down the sideline from the Cardinals' 47 all the way to the 11-yard line. But there, the Eastern Division leaders have to settle for a field goal by Lou Groza. It's a seesaw battle. That 10-7 Browns lead is soon to a 14-10 Cardinals edge. The play is wildly spectacular. Bobby Joe Conrad gets off a long guard. Leroy Bolden takes it in the end zone and bolts up the right side. Halfway home, he cuts back toward the middle, distances all of the Cardinal pursuers, then coasts home on a 102-yard touchdown from the kickoff. Still, those scrappy cards won't wilt. A few minutes later, McCann passes to Gern Nagler. When he's penned in on the 24, he hands off to down. That puts the Chicago team back in front. In the last half, the Browns just do it up Brown. They get underway with a pass from Plum to Renfro for 18. Plum and Bob Mitchell almost collide on a handoff. Then Mitchell flips back to Brown, and the 228-pound back thunders away. He bowls along through the Cardinals for 41 yards and another touchdown, tying the score again. A few minutes later, it's Brown again. Right through the middle, charging past defenders right and left. This 62-yard gallop is one of 4 touchdowns for Jimmy in this game, 12 for the season so far. And the Browns win their 5th straight, 38-24.
They fly through the air with the greatest of ease. Since man first looked up at the birds of the air, he dreamed of someday flying himself. Now it is commonplace. Travelers go everywhere by air. The airplane has become increasingly important to military forces. Even in the age of rocket missiles, they are extremely valuable. When a team of military acrobatic flyers puts on an aerial show, the result is one of the most spectacular sights under the sun. This sort of flying is comparable to close-order infantry drill. At times, the planes are only 3 feet apart. Flying isn't all business. It can be fun, too. Fun with model planes. These miniature flying machines are almost perfect replicas of the real thing. Operated by remote control, they can do almost anything a plane with pilot can do. Of all the flying fans, the most enthusiastic are the glider riders. They use power only for a takeoff. They must be towed up into the air, but once aloft, they ride the winds. In gliding, man most nearly realizes that dream of the ages, flying like a bird. A balloon will take him up into the air. A powered plane can fly him. But in a glider, he flies as the birds soar, with no mechanical propulsion, dependent solely on his wings. Gliding over the Alps, with only the air currents to keep him from crashing against the jagged peaks. The wind flutters through the gaps. The expert pilot stunts like a circus performer. Now you can see what it would be like, floating on the wind. Experienced glider flyers can stay aloft for hours, can soar for mile after mile, and they say it is the most beautiful sport ever devised by man, the realization of a prehistoric dream.
The World Amateur Hockey Championships at Prague, Czechoslovakia. Teams from all of the northern nations weeded out to 6 in the final playoffs, and the crowds pour into the rink. One of the purposes of the tournament is to promote friendliness among the peoples of the world, but it doesn't always work out that way. The match between Germany and Sweden erupts into a free-for-all. The big match everybody knows is between the Russian sextet, now gliding onto the ice, and the defending champion, the Belleville-McFarland team of Canada. Start of the contest. Both teams are undefeated in the competition so far, and both have indicated supremacy over the other contenders. In the first few minutes, the Canadians put pressure on the Russian defense. Performances like this made Nikolai Pushkov, Russian goalie, the choice as the best goaltender in the tournament. But he can't hold the Canadians off forever. Dennis Boucher scores after 9 minutes. When the Russians charge back, they find John Bell just as staunch a goalie as their own. The Canadians outplay the Soviet 6 most of the way. After a couple of minutes more, they barely miss increasing their lead. They get it anyway as Mo Benoit scores after 12 minutes. Ike Hildebrand makes it 3-0 for Canada in the third period. Seven minutes before the end of the match, Viktor Yakuschev dents the cords and the satellite rooters finally exercise their lunge. Time runs out, and the Belleville-McFarlands rack up the most important victory of the series, 3-1. Even though upset later by Czechoslovakia, Canada wins the tournament on points and retains the World Amateur Hockey crown.
Sometimes cordial, sometimes angry, but always a magnificent hitter. Ted Williams of the Red Sox, a baseball enigma, at times gay, friendly, and affable. At others, grim and sullen, at war with the fans and sports writers. But always at peace with the kids. And content by the side of a fishing stream. Whatever his mood, he was one of the great baseball hitters of all time. One of his big moments came in the 1941 All-Star game. It was one of the few times he ever showed emotion on the field, when his last-ditch ninth-inning home run with 2 on base snatched victory from the National League. Williams fans remembered 1946, too. In that All-Star game in his home Fenway Park at Boston, he hit a home run off Rip Sewell's famed blooper pitch, and they'd said it couldn't be done. 1950 in Comiskey Park, Chicago was another memorable All-Star game for Ted. He made a good catch of a drive by Ralph Kiner, but broke his elbow against the wall doing it. When he faced Don Newcomb later, he didn't realize his injury. And so, broken elbow and all, he got a base hit that drove in a run. But the break sidelined him most of the rest of the season. Twice, Ted's baseball career was interrupted by military duty. After serving in World War II, he was called back in the Korean action. Who knows what records he might have set. Now Williams was nearing 40, but he was still the mighty batsman of yore, capable of fighting for the American League batting championship against such stalwarts as Mickey Mantle, and winning it too. When his menacing figure appeared in the on-deck circle, it still struck fear into the hearts of opponents. And it was so often the better part of valor to walk him, he set a record for intentional passes. He played on past the age of 40, but it was ever more laborious now. He was visibly slowing up. But his bat never slowed up. On September 28, 1960, he hit a home run against Baltimore, his 521st in the major leagues. Only Ruth and Fox hit more, and no war interrupted their careers. It was a last long farewell. That night, mighty Ted Williams retired.
The old Polo Grounds, hallowed by many famous New York Giants games, comes back to life. This time it's the opening of the International Soccer League, with outstanding teams from European and South American countries, as well as the United States. The opening game between Scotland and Bayern Munich of Germany draws a crowd of more than 10,000. It's the first time professional soccer of the caliber played in European leagues has come to New York, and the match sparkles with brilliant passing and fancy footwork. Heroic goaltending and airtight defense puts goals at a premium. The German goalie, Arpad Fazekas, shuts off a score. The Scottish defenders are just as proficient. They're led by Captain Jimmy Brown, their goaltender. He's equal to the occasion when it arises. The German team attacking in the first half. Trying to clear a shot, Frank Beattie of Scotland accidentally knocks the ball into his own net, and Bayern Munich takes a 1-0 lead. With Fazekas making one miraculous save after another, it begins to look as if one goal is enough. The Scots are starting to wonder if there's any way to get one by him. With 14 minutes left in the game, Billy Murr boots in a corner kick for Kilmarnock, and Jack McAnally converts it into a goal. Hardly 2 minutes later, a foul gives the Scots a free kick, and they make good on it. Jack McAnally passes to Tom Bryceland, and he boots it home. Kilmarnock holds that lead until the last 2 minutes. Then Andy Kerr dribbles in on the net, recaptures his own rebound, and scores the third goal for the Scottish team. Kilmarnock 3, Bayern Munich 1, as big league soccer comes to New York. The world's greatest automobile race and one of the biggest multitudes in sports. A record crowd of some 200,000 packs into the vast speedway for the 43rd running of the Indianapolis 500. 33 drivers, survivors of stiff qualifying tests, give their motors a final inspection. Spectacular trophy and more than $300,000 in prize money rise with them as they roll away in 11 rows of 3 cars each. Now all that lies ahead for more than 3.5 hours is brick and asphalt. 200 laps around the 2.5-mile track, if they're lucky. Here's one of the lucky ones. Eddie Sachs of Center Valley, Pennsylvania, skids into the infield, back onto the track. It could have been another multiple-car pileup, but he escapes. So they go roaring on, burning up the gas and rubber, burning up the miles. And one of the unlucky ones hits the retaining wall and is out, but not too unlucky. No serious injury. For the others, one less car to beat. Then a frightening crash. Mike McGill of Haddonfield, New Jersey, flips completely over and lands upside down. Attendants rush to put out any fire. Next, to get into the car for the driver. Is it possible he's alive? McGill comes out with a chipped vertebra, a badly cut back, head and arm cuts, and burns. He's taken to a hospital, but very much alive. And over the tracks of disaster, the others hurtle on. The lead rotates, but Roger Ward, in a leader card special, is up there most of the way. After 15 changes, the Indianapolis driver gets in front with 50 miles to go and stays there. As the checkered flag waves, Ward zips over the finish line in record time. He averages a fraction under 136 miles an hour. Hometown boy makes good money, over $100,000, and everybody's happy, especially his wife on the left.
Snow is all things, but not to all men. It's something different to everybody. Sometimes it's a threat to life, sometimes it's a headache, but to the winter sports bug, it's the greatest stuff ever invented. This is an avalanche. Like all of nature's, unstoppable once it has begun. In cities, snow, though less dangerous, is nevertheless a mammoth problem. But to winter sports enthusiasts, snow is the best of all possible elements. Snow means skiing. Snow can be dangerous to skiers, too. Despite its hazards, skiing is great sport. And the king of skiers in our time was Toni Sailer, handsome Austrian. This graceful young man won the Olympic championship in 1956 and followed by sweeping almost every alpine competition. Sailer won the World Combined Championship in 1957, retained that title with this run a year later at Bad Gastein, Austria. He combined daring with a magic sense of balance. Sailer's only appearance in the United States came in an international ski competition at Stowe, Vermont. An up-and-coming American skier, Bud Werner of Colorado, gave him the race of his life. Sailer won by only 0.4 of a second, but win he did. Then he retired from amateur skiing to become a movie actor in Austria.
Another capacity crowd of about 58,000 in Baltimore Stadium with the champions. It's a battle all the way, and after the kickoff, the Colts throw Jim Nanowski for a 10-yard loss. Then when Yale Larry attempts a punt, LeBron Shields blocks it out of the end zone, and the Colts take the lead 2-0 on the safety. Then Detroit comes back near the end of the quarter. Nick Petrosanti breaks away and thunders 35 yards to the Colts' 32. On the very next play, Dan Lewis bursts through the Colts for 21 yards more to the 12. That's as far as the Lions can go, and Jim Martin kicks a field goal from the 20 to put Detroit ahead by a baseball score, 3-2. Then Johnny Unitas throws one of his patented touchdown passes. Lenny Moore takes it on the sideline, shakes off one tackler, and with two good blocks helping, scores an 80-yard touchdown that puts Baltimore on top at halftime, 8-3. The Colts get a bad blow as the half ends. Star fullback Alan Amici is put out for the season with an Achilles tendon injury. Final quarter is one of the wildest ever seen. From the Colts 40, Earl Morrow passes deep. Howard, as he catches it for a touchdown, that puts Detroit ahead 10-8. After the Lions add a field goal, Unitas goes to work again. He completes a pass to Jim Mutchella for 19. Then the play that produces bedlam. Unitas throws all the way. Moore makes a diving catch in the end zone, and with only 14 seconds left, the fans rush out, confident the Colts have won the game. The camera shakes from the jumping celebration. The commotion continues a long time before the officials clear the field to play the final 14 seconds. At last, order is restored, the game resumes, and what a shock to the fans. On the final play, Morrow throws a long pass to Jim Gibbons, who dashes on for a 65-yard touchdown that beats Baltimore 20-15 and drops the champions into a triple tie.